We will jump into this. I think I'm on. Am I on? Yes, I'm on. Good evening. Oh, excuse me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. So it has been confirmed NATO have started phase 1 of mandatory military service. Or as people, oh God, I've spelt that wrong. Hang on, give me a second, guys. I've totally misspelled that. How did I not see that? Right, let me edit this. It's conscription. Sorry. Conscription, not conscription. Sorry. Let me make these changes. Give me a second. I've totally buffoonered myself. There we go. Now we've got it. Conscription. There we are, guys. So look, I'm going to give you guys an article now from a news article called Euronews. I'm going to read it you. And then there's a short video that we're going to play. For those of you guys that are watching on YouTube, I will share this video. I think I should do this now as the template for these live streams, because I do feel that there's a lot of information that we miss by only saying things once. So what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the phase 1 conscription that is happening in Germany, and I'm going to give you guys the date. But before we get on to that, ladies and gentlemen, can you guys do me a real big favor? Like, comment, subscribe, share my stuff. Tap the screen if you guys are on TikTok or whatever. If you want to tap the screen, I don't even know what the screen tapping does. We are triple streaming. We're on YouTube. We're on X, and we are on TikTok. We're live across 3 platforms. You guys on TikTok, I will be closing you guys down relatively soon, and then I will just continue on YouTube and X. If you guys want to continue this live stream and you guys want to continue and listen what's happening to conscripts and listen talking about World War III and how it's going to happen, then jump over to YouTube and X. I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube, and I'm the Real Raven 1 on X. Anyway, Outram TST747 Outram's joined. I bet he's a cool guy. So conscription is here, guys. I'm going to read you this article, and then I'll play you guys a short video. So this is from an article released today, 1502. So this is really breaking news, guys. Okay, Germany inches closer to bringing back mandatory military conscription service. Now, as you get, I'm going to play you guys this video in a minute, and you guys will see how this is literally the tiptoe towards conscription. This is phase 1 conscription. You know, if they just brought this out and said, right, we need conscripts because we can't win the Russians, then there would be an outcry. There would be questions asked. So what they're doing is they're doing it in phases. So phase 1 is, as we're going to get to in a minute. So I'll just read you this article, guys, okay? The newly negotiated compromise released on Thursday makes a registration and medical screening of all males. Hang on a minute. Surely men and women are equal. Why is it only men? I bet there's a lot of people now who are saying, oh, shit, I don't want to identify as a man anymore. Maybe I want to maybe I'm a woman. The newly negotiated compromise released today, guys. This is breaking. This is from today, from Germany. Makes the registration and medical screening of all males over the age of 18 mandatory. A questionnaire will also become compulsory, where each applicant must detail their willingness to serve. So what I'm getting from this, guys, is they're going to try and get the numbers. And if they can't get the numbers, then guess what? You guys know, right? You guys have been feeling me. Germany will require all men to register for military service from the 1st of January 2026. Not that far away, guys. It's not that far away. With compulsory service to be reintroduced if volunteer numbers fall short of targets set to meet NATO commitments. I'm going to get onto this article, guys. But look, if you guys have been following this channel for a while, you guys know exactly what I've been saying, right? Have I been, put it in the chat, guys, put it in the chat. Have I been saying that NATO cannot win without conscripts? Like, has somebody been saying that? Yeah. Look, ladies and gentlemen, this is why you guys follow me. This is why you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share. This is why you guys are becoming members, and thank you to the members as well, guys. I really do appreciate all you guys who become members on YouTube. We can't win this without conscripts. It's purely a numbers game, guys. It purely is a numbers game. War's dirty. It's brutal. It should be avoided at all costs. If you're in a war, you should win that war at all costs. Regardless what your side is, whether you're like the Muslim Brotherhood and you want to take over the West, or whether you're the Russians and you want to move through Europe, or whether you're the United Kingdom and you just want to like win the next election, if you're in a war, you kind of need to win that at all costs from all sides. Now, I'm giving you guys, the guys, that is an objective statement. Modern military service is coming. Jens Spahn, chairman of the ruling CDU-CSU parliamentary group, said in a press statement, "We will have more commitment to voluntary service. The aim is to establish a binding growth path in law within 6 monthly reporting obligations to the German Bundestag." So the Bundestag is like the military. "So that together as a society, we always know where we stand in the growth of our armed forces in order to be able to defend ourselves." Ladies and gentlemen, all right, if you don't think that conscription is coming now, then, I've got some seaside real estate to sell to you in Doncaster. Right, I'm going to share this with you guys in a second. Hang on. I think there's an ad. Yeah, there's an ad. Right. Right, how do I do? Right, guys, listen, if you guys are on YouTube, I'm going to share, let me get the chat. I'm going to share this video with you guys now. This platform is quite swizzly, though, because, right, hang on. This platform is quite swizzly because it doesn't let you skip the ads and it doesn't let you pause the video. So let me let this ad run. We've got 10 seconds left, and then I'll play the video. They've totally done it. They've totally caught me out, because what I would normally do is let the ad run, pause the video. Right, so let's share this and then I'll jump back. So give me a second, guys. Let me get on. No!
Starting from the 1st of January 2026, Germany has revamped its military service model, according to an official announcement made on Thursday. Starting from the 1st of January 2026, all men aged 18 and above would be required to register for potential military service. Around 700,000 young people, born in 2008 or later, will be contacted to complete their registrations. The new law also mandates all men of legal age to submit to medical screenings, as well as complete a questionnaire detailing their willingness to serve. As things stand, military service will remain on a voluntary basis, which Defense Minister Boris Pistorius believes will be enough.
Wir setzen ganz klar auf Freiwilligkeit. Wir gestalten einen attraktiven Dienst. Die Ausbildung verändert sich, die Bezahlung verändert sich. Das verändert sich gerade grundlegend bis hin zur Ausbildung an Drohnen. Also es ist insgesamt ein völlig neues Bild des Wehrdienstes, das da jetzt entsteht und schon begonnen hat.
So what they're saying there, guys.
However, if things don't go according to plan, Berlin plans to reintroduce compulsory service through a new set of legislative procedures. However, if things don't go according to plan, Berlin plans to reintroduce compulsory service through a new set of legislative procedures. The move, Pistorius says, is crucial for Germany to enhance its defense readiness, as well as meet its NATO commitments, pledged to achieve by 2035.
So there we have it, guys. There we have it. It looks like the date for conscription has been announced. It looks like the date for conscription has been announced. the Germans are starting phase 1 conscription. And look, guys, you know, I know what the media are saying. Yeah, this is only voluntary, but I want everybody that is 18 and over to register with German Bundeswehr. Yeah, and then we will make sure that all the people have the best possible outcome. Yeah, well, let's get all these young men. Oh, yeah, we want all the young men dressed in leather. What? No, that's another thing. Oh, yeah, that is not 999. That is weekenders. Ah, yeah, we want to bolster our military and our military production capacity. You know. And it brings me back to that. Somebody was on the chat like a while ago, and they were saying, "Sure, nothing ever happens." You know, it really does. It really does happen, guys, and it's here. So the German, look, guys, put it in the chat. All right, if you guys are on the chat right now, put this in the chat. Do you think, you know, do you think this is going to lead the Germans to actual conscription, as it said on there, or do you know what? It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter whether this is going to lead to conscription, because what this is leading to is mass German mobilization. And let's not think, ladies and gentlemen, for 1 second that this is not coming here. I've said this many, many times, ladies and gentlemen. I've said this many, many times, all right? NATO, without the United States, cannot win the Russians. And if anybody wants to argue with me on that, absolutely fine. You know, I will take that argument, you know, because what happens is you get these people, these colonels, analysts who read bits of paper. Somebody sent me, Danny, thank you on TikTok. Danny's sending me loads of stuff on TikTok. Thank you so much, Danny, for sending me the loads of roses on TikTok. Thank you so much, Danny. So what I'm getting at here, ladies and gentlemen, is all these analysts on Sky News, BBC, they don't know what they're talking about. They have no idea what they're talking about. I have not changed my tune since day one of this conflict. Since day one of this conflict, I've not gone back on anything and said, "Oh, do you know what? I was wrong on that." Nothing. I've always said the same thing, guys. Okay, I've always said the same thing, and the same thing is this: NATO without the United States cannot win the Russians. Again, depends what win is, but you know, and the reason for that is because the Russians are using conscripts. Time, money, effort, resources it takes to push those conscripts forwards. Tiny. Time, money, effort, resources it takes to push the NATO military forwards high, really high. And you guys, and the reason I shared with you that the video, like, I can't remember, like a couple of days ago, whenever it was, when the reason I shared with you that video of like the Mad Max video, you know, the civilian vehicles coming out of the fog, civilian motorbikes, people wearing civilian clothes, literally Mad Max shit. All right, it was literally Mad Max shit. The reason I shared that video, it wasn't to show anything on Paul Croves or anything. I just wanted you guys to visualize what the modern battlefield looks like. And the modern battlefield looks like some techno-barbarian shit. They've got drones, they're in like chopped down vehicles. That's modern warfare. So when NATO are saying, "Oh, we've got a budget of $100 trillion, billion, quazillion dollars," all right, fair enough. How much do you think it costs to deploy those conscripts and tell them to steal, pillage, rob their way through that region? How much do you think it costs? I would say it costs less than $1,000 per person. Like $1,000 and you've got them gone. You know, you give them a rifle, 10 magazines, filled with ammo, obviously. pair of boots. You know, off you go. Literally, off you go. Adam Price has hit the jackpot, guys. Adam Price on YouTube has hit the jackpot. I am going to come back onto that in a second. I think Adam Price has hit the jackpot. You know what? I'm going to go on to this. So Adam Price is saying, do you know what? Adam Price has made me lose my train. No, I'm not, Adam. Adam, I'm going to answer I'm going to leave it on the screen, actually. I'm going to leave that on the screen because I'll forget otherwise. But I am going to come on to that. So Adam Price is on YouTube is saying, send all the illegal immigrants instead. I'm going to come back onto this in a second. So considering the cost, time, money, effort, resources of sending those conscripts. Literally, you go into a village in Russia and you say, right, I need 50 blokes. Right, off you go. What? Yeah, off you go. That's it. You're done. It's done. You tell them, you say to the conscripts, you say, right, okay, you're in a war zone now. There's no rules. You do what you want in there, but you need to be pushing that direction. Steal vehicles, steal food, steal whatever you want. It's yours, right? Literally, it's like zombie apocalypse Z. Okay, so that's how the Russians are rolling. How much do you think it costs? Thank you. Sharon sent me a little coffee. Thank you, Sharon, for the coffee. An espresso, sorry, an espresso. How much do you think it costs? Excuse me. How much do you think it costs to equip a NATO platoon, fully trained NATO platoon? It's hundreds of thousands, guys. It is. It's hundreds of thousands. All the training they have to go through. So they have to go through at least, I mean, at the moment, British military, you do about 6 months training, depending on what unit you go to. 4 to 6 months training, normally. 4 to 6 months training. That costs, there's a dollar attachment. Do you know what? I'm going to Google this real quick. Okay, so I've just Googled, and I don't know where this has come from, guys. Okay, I've just Googled this. So I just Googled how much does it cost to train a British infantry soldier. And AI is telling me the most recent publicly available data indicates that the cost to train a British infantry soldier is approximately £47,000. That's for one. Based on a 2024 parliamentary report, this figure includes workforce cost, infrastructure, administration, overheads. Okay. So let's just do Raven maths, guys, okay? Are you happy that I say that costs 50 grand? Because it's going to be a lot easier when I start to do Raven maths, okay? So in this context, for the same price, the Russians can deploy 50 troops. Let me Google this. Let me Google this. How much does it cost? Fucking hell! Yeah, I was miles wrong, guys. You know when I said No, this can't be right. You know when I said it costs about $1,000? No. AI is telling me it costs... no. Sorry. No, I was wrong. I was wrong. It is actually higher. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. So right, it's very difficult to find out. Right, there's lots of different figures here. I'm just trying to navigate through. I'm going to say it's 2,000. Let's say it's 2,000. All right, $2,000. So like what? Oh God, I'm doing exchange rates. In pounds. Right. Okay. So it costs the equivalent of a... So this is what AI is telling me, guys. All right. This is what AI is telling me. This is from numbers from 2024. So I guess those numbers are the same. It costs £1,408. So I wasn't that far off, was I? I wasn't that far off. So let's just use that number then. So it costs for the Russians to deploy a conscript soldier to the front line. No, right. Okay. Look, guys, I want to keep the live stream going. Okay. We're just going to use that number. That number is slightly off. I think the actual number would be less, but look, let's just go with that number. Okay. So AI is telling me that it costs £1,408 to deploy one conscript soldier. That's what it costs the Russians, £1,408. Now, just the training for one British infantry soldier is £47,000. You guys can see the problems here, can't you? You can see the problems, right? You can see, the NATO forces are so much better. Yes, they are. I'm not saying NATO forces are not better than the Russians. I've never said that. What I'm saying is the Russians have a lot more, and it's a lot cheaper for the Russians to push these soldiers forwards. Anyway, right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump onto the chat in a second. In fact, I'm going to jump onto it now. Right. Adam Price is saying, send all the illegal immigrants instead. Listen, I've said this quite a few times. Let's not count out the Labour Party right now. They could be doing a switch and bait. Can you imagine the difference in public opinion? Look, guys, and I'm like, what the Labour Party are doing to the country right now is disgusting. It's wild. It's insane. Like, you can't believe what's happening. Let me just ask you a real quick question. If 2027 to late 2026, whatever, World War III kicks off and we just need loads of conscripts, what would your opinion of Keir Starmer be if he came out and he did a public speech and he said, look, we needed as many migrants here as we could because it was always our intention to use these as conscripts because we're going to be fighting we're going to be fighting a global conflict on an industrial scale. So right now, migrants have two choices. They either enroll in the military and get citizenship, or we ship them back to Cali. That is literally it. That's their choices. How would that public opinion change really, really quickly? So let's just be objective about everything, guys. Okay, let's just take everything with a pinch of salt. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump on the chat. Yes, I am. And you guys on TikTok, you guys are fantastic. Do you know what? We've got some very good-looking people on TikTok right now, guys. We have. I'm not going to lie. You guys on TikTok, I don't know who's the best looking. I don't know whether it's YouTube or TikTok. 50-50 at the moment. It really is 50-50 at the moment. But what I am going to do for you guys on TikTok, I am going to close you down in like 2 minutes or something at 20 past. And then I will continue this live stream on X. I'll continue this live stream on YouTube just because I've got a carbonated drink here. I want to have a little carbonated drink because it's almost Friday. And if I do that while I'm on TikTok, I will just get banned like a band. And I don't want to get banned like a band because I want to keep my profile. Anyway, so I will be jumping over, guys, onto YouTube. I'll be closing you guys down in like 2-3 minutes or whatever. But before that, I'm going to jump up and I'm going to get some comments. Right, we're all talking about, okay, hang on. Right, okay, we're all talking about, right. Temple Matt is saying, Sean, what's the lifespan of a Russian-Ukrainian soldier after training? Do you know what? I don't know. I know the amount of training they're getting is limited. Carol Brown is saying evil is running this shit show, sadly. It is, guys. It is. There's no way to deny that. Evil is running this shit show. Okay, look. I'm against all wars. I promise you I am. I'm against all wars. Just happens to be that's my area of expertise. I'm against them all. They're all ridiculous. In 10 years' time, you know, everything will be back to normal. Look at the United States. Look at the Bataclan, you know. Literally, in the Bataclan, was it 10 years ago from the Bataclan? I think it was. 10 years ago from the Bataclan, when the Muslims went in there and there was a big massacre, they're all shouting like, free Palestine, death to the idea. You can't make this stuff up. You know, you really can't make this stuff up. Look, and if you want to know where I stand, I'm standing with, you know, human exploration, space exploration, going down to Antarctica, putting a base on the moon, putting a base on Mars, putting a floating base around Venus. But we literally have a third world war and a potential fourth world war to get rid of first. And then as soon as that's happened, maybe we can deal with the rest of the problems. Slim is saying none of the new Brits will fight on the front line. They are a liability. They will be using up resources and graping our okay. Yeah, okay, right. Going back to the so Slim is saying, okay, I'm not going to read it again. So from what Slim is saying there, and you guys on YouTube, you guys can see this footage, the shared comment. If you just get those people, like the Russians are doing, and say, right, go that way, do whatever you want, just take that ground. I would say a lot of these people will find that an attractive offer. Weasel Von Diesel is saying, good evening, ladies and gents. Donna, the person asking that sort of question will be Karen's Sean warned us of when the shit is fine. Yeah, I don't know what Donna was saying, but like when things go down, you really do need to worry about the Karens. Honestly, you really need to worry about the Karens. I can remember when it was, when it was a crazy time of 2021, where we all had to do hands, face, and space, and we was all walking around with the facial protections on. Like the Karen who worked at Morrison's, overnight, she became the world's leading expert in airborne pathogens. Overnight, she knew everything. Karen knew everything. I remember going into this shop once, and if you knew me in my personal life, like, some people are saying, like, Sean, you should go down and do these, like, and cover these, like, these riots and these protests and stuff. I just take the piss all the time. I really can't help myself. I cannot help myself, guys. I promise you I can't. Everybody will be dead serious. I'll be asking one of the liberals what they wash their hair in or something, or can I exchange, like, do they like sushi or something random? Anyway, when we're talking about the Karens, I walked into the it was a burger shop. It wasn't like it was like an independent burger shop. I can't remember what it was called. Is it like Go Burger or something? Yo Burger? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it was called. And I walked on and they had this young girl on the door. and she was stopping people as they were coming in. And she said, "You've got to have a mask on." So I put a scarf around my face, and she said, "No, that's not a mask." And I said to her, I said, "What's the difference?" Bear in mind, I've done a lot of medical. I've done a lot of medical training, and I've taught. I've taught a lot of medical courses. And I asked the lady, "What's the difference between me putting a scarf on my face and a mask?" And she said, "Oh, there's a lot." And I said, "What's the micron value of a mask?" And she went on this like waffle, just blatantly lying. And I thought, wow, this is like the real thing people need to worry about, like when everything collapses, is Karens. Because these will be the people in the supermarket. No, you're only allowed to take 3 water bottles. What? You're only allowed to take 3 water bottles. Okay, what's a water bottle? If you're going to be clever, I'll have you kicked out. They're the Karens who I'm talking about, guys, okay? These are the people who overnight will become experts. Literally, overnight, these people will become experts on... They'll just become experts on everything. I sounded like a Karen, didn't I? But yes, as Weasel Von Diesel saying, we need to worry about the Karens. Right, there's a lot of questions on the chat, guys. There's not a chance I'm going to be able to get all these questions. Donna comments. Donna Hook is saying, "I had a dream that they let Trump win to do the dirty work and then outed him in the next elections." I don't think Trump can't. As I understand US politics, DJT can't stand again. I don't think he can stand again. I'm pretty sure that DJT can't stand again. I think you're only allowed 2 terms. I know for a fact you're only allowed 2 terms. So DJT can't stand again. So Matthew Hopkins is saying, if the immigrants are asked to fight, you will see a swarm of boats going back the other way. Well, this is the thing, Matthew. I don't think you will. Look, this government has a history. This government in the United Kingdom, we have a history of swindling people and winning wars by doing things that are not very savory, that are very unsavory. And I do think this is one of the things that's coming. And James Brook-Wavell is saying, this war is coming. They are literally telling us, but if you go to war, don't worry. The new visitors will look after your family. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining me for the first time, we are talking about the breaking news from today. From like a few hours ago, NATO has begun conscription. Phase 1 conscription has begun, and the date has been confirmed. The Germans, and let me be quite clear, guys, I'm going to read this and then I'm going to go on to domestic stuff. The Germans inch closer to bringing back mandatory military service. So let me caveat this, guys, all right? They have not used the word conscription. I'm using the word conscription, all right? And tell me what you guys think, all right? Germany will require all men. I wonder if that includes migrants. Do you know what, guys? I wonder if that includes migrants. Interesting. Germany will require, it leads me, I'll come back onto that. Germany will require all men to register for potential military service from the 1st of January 2026, with compulsory service to be reintroduced if the volunteer numbers fall short of targets. So there you have it, guys, all right? They're going to say, right, this is not conscription. Who wants to join? Nah, we're good. Okay, then it is conscription. Oh, man. That's literally where it is. Right, guys, listen, I'm going to run for a wee. I'm going to nip off screen. I'm going to have a wee. I'm going to come back. You guys on TikTok, as soon as I get back, I'm going to close you guys down. You've not done anything wrong. I just want to carbonate myself. I do. I want to have a good carbonation. So I will jump. I'm going to go for a toilet, guys. I'm going to come back. And when I get back, I'm going to close TikTok down. And we are going to continue on this live stream. What's his name? Nick Ferrari. Is it Nick Ferrari? Yeah. Nick Ferrari gave a speech earlier about migrants and homeless veterans. I'm going to share that with you guys as soon as I get back. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, before I go, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share my stuff. I tell everybody on this channel what is coming. I tell everybody on this channel what is coming. And then it happens. I tell you what's coming next, and then it happens. So do you know what? If you want to be gaslit about what's happening today, go and watch the BBC. If you want to find out what's happening in the future, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share my shit. I'm off for a wee. I'll see you in 3. It won't be 3 minutes, guys. It'll be like a minute or something. Oh. Thank you for waiting, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate it. Right. So you guys on TikTok, I'm going to close you guys down now, unfortunately. And look, there's a lot of you guys on TikTok who are really good looking. There's some really handsome men with really square jaws, fantastic square jaws. You guys have got some real good jaws. I am going to close you guys down now on TikTok. I'm going to jump over to YouTube. If you guys are going to jump over to YouTube, you want to continue this live stream, you know, talk about World War III, conscription, how that's coming to the United Kingdom, jump over to YouTube, guys. I'm a Real Raven 1 on YouTube, and I'm the Real Raven 1 on X. But if you're not going to jump over, don't worry. Don't worry. Don't fret your little heart. I'm going to be back on tomorrow morning at 10, like I normally am. Remember, guys, listen, before I go on TikTok, remember, there has been heavy rain forecast for tonight. For me, that means I need to bring the wood under, and I need to make sure I've got enough wood and it's not getting soaked to keep the house warm. I don't know what you guys are going to do. Maybe you're going to do nothing. But anyway, there is heavy rain planned. I'm going to go jump over now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be closing you guys off on TikTok, and I bid you good evening. And we are off. We are off. Yes, sir. We are off. Right. Let me get that off there. Right. We are on. Right. So Nick Ferrari earlier on today. I love Nick Ferrari, guys. I do. I love Nick Ferrari. Nick Ferrari posted a video earlier. Well, do you know what? It's LBC posted a video, actually. LBC posted a video earlier, and I'm just going to share this with you now. Let me know what you guys think, okay? So we jump into domestically what's happening in the UK. And so domestically in the United Kingdom, guys, okay? I'm just going to share this with you. Let me know what you think. Honestly, do you think he's right or wrong? I personally do. But then you've got to look at this, at the deeper meaning of this. So let's just share this.
Remember, we're having this conversation just a couple of days after Remembrance Day, a few more days after Remembrance Sunday, when all those politicians stood there at the cenotaph with very grave faces, wearing their poppy, heads bowed, saluting then the men and women who went to war, some of whom never came back.
I'm just going to caveat this. Nobody ever comes back from a war, guys. The same person never comes back. Never. Never, 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 never. if you guys have got friends or family or loved ones who are in the military and they're going to get deployed to Ukraine, if they're going to get deployed wherever, the same person will not come back. Just accept that, guys, all right? The same person will not come back, ever.
Some of whom did come back very seriously wounded, and some of whom we can't even get a bed for the night. But don't worry. Come over on a dinghy from France, and we'll put you in a 3-star hotel. But how does this even add up? Tina, in Kent, I tell our veterans, here, get over to Calais, come back in a dinghy. They'll be lauded and looked after because illegal migrants are worth more than our brave military veterans.
A couple of days ago, it might have been last week or whatever, I did a video and I said, I just watched it. I think it was on TikTok. And I said, I've just watched the video where, let me know if you've seen the video. There's one of these auditors or something. I don't know. There's lots of them. They all put audits at the side of their name. They all put audits at the side of their name. And he's filming outside this hotel, and there's like these. There's two of them. They were. Do you know? Is there two of them? There might have only been one of them actually. But basically, there's somebody sleeping outside a hotel. He's, he looks British. He had a Cockney accent, and literally, you've got these who I would perceive as African migrants, like stepping over him to get into their hotels. Like, how does that make sense? Like, how? What is that?
It's disgusting how our own veterans are treated compared to the boat people.
So there we have it, guys. Nick Ferrari is saying it is disgusting how our own veterans are treated in comparison to the boat people. Now, I get it. I get it. If people, if there's no money, if the government don't have any money, how can we support veterans? There's no money in the budget. There's no money in the budget, guys. We don't have any money. We've got a 22 billion black hole. We don't have any money, guys. I'm afraid the Battle of Hastings, because of the Battle of Hastings in 1066, the government made some real bad decisions, and there's a black hole, and we have to pay for it because we are a responsible government. But as soon as people would, I don't think people would mind if that really was the perceived case. But my perception of this is that if there's no money for veterans, bear in mind, a lot of these people, all of them, everybody who served in the military at some point have considered that they may not be coming, they may get deployed and they may not be coming back. Everyone, without fail. I don't think these people in the hotels would have that same mindset. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't. Anyway, I don't know. But what I'm getting at here is the public are so angry about this because we're seeing what's happening. Okay, right. You've just got here. Right, there you go, in a hotel, 3 meals a day. Surely if there's a budget for that, there's a budget for... So there's a budget for foreign people, but there's not a budget for our own. How? I don't even know, guys. I don't even know how it clearly doesn't make sense. Right, let me jump down. Andrew, good evening, Andrew. Andrew is saying, Andrew, and you do have a fine looking jawline. If that's you in your thumbnail, you've got a fine jawline. Andrew is saying Slippery Stormer and his human rights buddy, Richard Harmer. Richard Harmer, give over. That's not his name. That can't be his name. Richard Harmer. Dr. Richard Harmer, are we talking? Okay, there's lots of Harmers. Right, okay, there's Richard. Oh, okay, so we've got him here. So he's a KC. 5 years ago, the man is now a lord. Oh, no, Hermer the Harmer. Yeah, I know the guy who you're talking about. Where are we? and his buddy Richard Hermer wouldn't allow the migrants to be signed up. They would send us first. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I know that we're heading towards wild times right now. And look, guys, if you're joining for the first time, I am going to keep repeating this, and I will show that video again very shortly. So the breaking news: NATO begins conscription, the first phase of conscription, whereby on the 1st of January 26th, every eligible man in Germany has to report for a medical, and I'll share with this in a second, guys. I'll share this with you guys in a second. Every eligible man in Germany over the age of 18, if you were born, they give the dates or whatever in a minute, you have to report for a medical screening, and you have to fill out a questionnaire that says, do you want to serve in the German military? And if they say no, and they don't get the numbers, guess what? Yeah, conscription's coming. So conscription, it's conscription regardless. Whatever the outcome is, the Germans understand that they need more men. And look, ladies and gentlemen, if we're talking about Ukraine, guns, bombs, tanks, planes, trains, automobiles, I know this battlefield. I know this battlefield. And I've been saying for over a year, I've not been changing my tune. I've not been going. You guys know I've not been going what other people have been saying. You know when everybody was saying like, oh, this is good. I was like, no, it's not. When all the mainstream media were against what I was saying, I was going against all of them. You had all these other platforms with hundreds of thousands of followers, and they're all going, oh, yeah, this is going to happen now. I was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And it didn't. Everything happened the exact same way that I said it has. And this is coming, ladies and gentlemen. We are heading towards a global conflict on an industrial scale. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not done so already, please hit that like, follow, subscribe. The buttons down there really help me out, ladies and gentlemen. And if you, sorry guys, if you're watching on YouTube, they're down there. If you're watching on X, they're up there. I was going to say if you're watching on TikTok, they're up here, but nobody's watching on TikTok because I've turned it off. And with that, further ado, I can have a little drink of my swizzle. Fantastically carbonated. Oh, read Helen MG's comment. Right, Helen MG, where are you? Right, I'm assuming that's not it. The BBC apologizes to Trump and tells him compensation is rejected. Look, as a British person, as a Brit, I want Trump to sue the BBC. I absolutely do. I want Trump to take him down. Absolutely. This is going to all lead to a United States takeover. This is all going to lead eventually to a United States takeover of the United Kingdom. It is. You can see this. I've been saying this for a long time. The way we are right now, NATO, without conscripts at scale, we cannot win the Russians. Just look at the numbers, all right? And this is what AI is telling me. So it costs, AI is telling me, I asked the question, how much does it cost Russia to deploy one conscript in GDP? I spelled that wrong. GDP. In GBP. No, I did have it right, actually. GBP. And and AI is telling me, obviously, you know, the number is very difficult to find, but the number they're telling me is, excuse me, for one conscript, it costs £1,408. Now, that's to deploy one. I'm going to have to do a little bit of digging on this, guys, but you'll understand with the figures in a second. I also asked AI, how much does it cost to train a British infantry soldier? And they said, an AI said, from recent, the most recent data indicates it's 47,000. Do you know what? Let me change this. How much does it cost to train and deploy? Let me see what this is. Okay, so this is giving me another. Okay, so this is giving me another number now. Okay, this is right. Sorry, guys. I don't want to ruin the flow. Right. Okay. So the training. I'm just going to read you this. The estimated cost to train. This is giving me another number. The estimated cost to train a British infantry soldier is around £67,000. Which includes basic and initial trade training combined with the infantry training center. Deploying a soldier has additional costs. Additional costs such as a daily operational allowance of approximately £29 during deployments, totaling around 5,000. No, it's hard to find these numbers, guys. I'm going to stick with the 47,000, but look, even at this one's 20,000 more, so I don't know where they're getting their numbers from. But look, regardless, okay, I don't want to stop the flow of this live stream. What I'm getting at here is it's a lot more expensive. Like, if you go with the 67,000, do you know what? Let's go with the 67,000 because I'm doing Raven maths now. I'm saying 67,000 is about 50 times more than 1,400. Somebody do the maths for me, guys. That's my rudimental Raven maths. Raven maths is never right, but it always works. So I'm just doing my Raven maths off the top of my head, and I'm saying that's about 50. No, it's slightly less, whatever. So what I'm saying here is, by these numbers that I'm getting, the Russians can deploy 50 soldiers for every one of ours. So you know all these people who get on there who've got no military experience, like zero military experience, and they're commenting, you know, like celebrities. You know, you've got like these celebrities who are like, yeah, well, actually, I would put one of our soldiers is worth maybe 5 Russian soldiers. Yeah, what about 50? Do you think one of our soldiers is worth 50? Because financially, that's what it costs. I didn't make these numbers up, guys. All right, I didn't make these numbers up. All right, so you know, you get the Russians. You know, the Russians deploy 50 guys, and we can deploy 1. Yes, better to send 1 lion than 50 sheep. No, that's not how it works, guys. All right, numbers count for a lot. They do, guys. Trust me, numbers count for a lot. Right, I'm going to jump down and get some comments, guys, and then I will play that video again. Yes, I will, good sir. Right. Galloway Raider is saying 1 against 50 is pretty dire odds. It is. And this is what I've been saying for, like, guys, I've been saying this for over a year. I'm going to give you the example I give you guys, all right? I am going to give it. I've given it quite a lot. I've not given it for a while. The example I give to you guys is, when trying to understand how a war between NATO and Russia would go, this is what I say, all right? Imagine 2 football teams, all right? Imagine 2 football teams, all right? You've got one of the football teams, visualize 2 football teams, right? The first football team is the best football players that the world has ever produced. You know, whoever you think they are, they're the best, like 11 players or whatever, the best goalkeeper, the best defenders, you know. Now, you give them all the latest, the most modern kit and equipment, the best shin pads, the best boots. They can run rate fast, proper rate fast, lad. You know, you give them all the training, all the diet. You give them everything that humans could give them. They are the best equipped 11 players, all right? They're there, they're waiting. And you know who comes out of the other side to play them? 1,000. 1,000. You know, you've got 1,000 players now. Or do you know what? 550 players if we're going 1 to 50. But I say 1,000, so we'll go with 1,000. You know, they send 1,000 players, you know, to play that team. They, you know, some of them have never kicked a ball. Some of them are wearing suits. Some of them are wearing trainers. Some of them are wearing shoes, boots. They're from work. And these guys are going to play dirty as well. Okay, right. Now, visualize that, all right? It's, you know, the kickoff's not happened. Which team is the best team? Well, it's the NATO team. It's the best players that the world has ever seen. You know, it's all those players with all the kit. They're the best. Of those two teams, which team is going to put the ball in the back of the net more? It's just a no-brainer, guys. It's the 1,000. Do you know why? Because there's 1,000 of them. All right, that is the reality. So I've given that quite a few times. Okay, Galloway Raider is saying 1 against 50 is pretty dire odds. It is. This is why I've been saying. You know, this is why I've been saying. Oh, hang on. Oh, who's odds? I've got to give love to odds. Who's odds? Yeah, I'm trying to go up to find odds. I can't find odds. What's odds said? What is odds? Oh, right, odds. Okay. Oh, I think people are just giving love. Right, okay. I think people are just giving, right, okay. Sharing it and feeling it. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump back onto that video that I shared at the beginning of this live stream. Give me a second because they show the ads, but they don't let me share the ad. Sorry, but they don't let me pause the video. So I have to let the I have to let the ads play. Oh no, it's on. Right, hang on. I will share this because the ads have gone. Right, I'm going to share this now, guys. This is not a conventional video that I'm sharing.
The 1st of January 2026, all men aged 18 and above would be required to register for. Germany has revamped its military service model, according to an official announcement made on Thursday. Starting from the 1st of January 2026, all men aged 18 and above would be required to register for potential military service. Around 700,000 young people, born in 2008 or later, will be contacted to complete their registrations. The new law also mandates all men of legal age to submit to medical screenings, as well as complete a questionnaire detailing their willingness to serve. As things stand, military service will remain on a voluntary basis, which Defense Minister Boris Pistorius believes will be enough.
Wir setzen ganz klar auf Freiwilligkeit. Wir gestalten einen attraktiven Dienst. Die Ausbildung verändert sich, die Bezahlung verändert sich. Das verändert sich gerade grundlegend bis hin zur Ausbildung an Drohnen. Also es ist insgesamt ein völlig neues Bild des Wehrdienstes, das da jetzt entsteht und schon begonnen hat zu entstehen.
However, if things don't go according to plan, Berlin plans to reintroduce compulsory service through a new set of legislative procedures. The move, Pistorius.
Schon begonnen hat zu entstehen.
However, if things don't go according to plan, Berlin plans to reintroduce compulsory service through a new set of legislative procedures. The move, Pistorius says, is crucial for Germany to enhance its defense readiness, as well as meet its NATO commitments, pledged to achieve by 2035.
So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we do. There we have it. The Germans are starting not mandatory military conscription, but if we don't get the numbers, then it is going to be mandatory. Now, something that was key on that for me. And look, guys, I'm not German. Maybe you've noticed I'm not German, but something I noticed on that was they're saying that every man of the age. So I'm thinking, are migrants? Are they going to be dragging in these migrants? Now, if you want to go down conspiracy lane, ladies and gentlemen, and you want to go real deep down conspiracy lane, and I'm not going to go down it now. I'm gonna caress conspiracy lane. I'm going to fluff conspiracy lane. Remember when Angela Merkel was saying, Yeah, if you are coming from Syria, we will take you as refugees. We want millions of refugees coming to Germany. Yeah, that's very good. Can you guys remember that? Like in 16 or maybe, I don't know what it was. In my head, you guys know how I think, right? I think wildly. I do. My brain works like, I don't know if I think when I die, I mean, I'm not going to die. I'm absolutely not going to die. I don't think I'm going to die. And I think if you are 40, I think if you're 50 and you can make it to another 30 years, you're not going to die. I do think human life extension is coming. That's a different live stream. So I'm not going to die. But if I did, I think scientists would get my brain and it would like sort some supercomputer out, because when I see these things, I hit all these like neurons firing and make all these connections. So going back to when Angela Merkel was encouraging refugees, Syrians, to come to Germany, the question is this, and I don't know the answer. I could speculate. So the question is this. Remember, we're caressing conspiracy lane right now. The question is this. Did Angela Merkel know that this war, we're heading towards this war? Did Angela Merkel know? That's why she was encouraging people. Does Keir Starmer know? Well, probably Keir Starmer doesn't know, but his handlers may know. Because I can't for the life of me fathom why else we would be in this situation we are right now in the West. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me jump down, everyone, and get some of the comments. Good evening, everyone. Coach, Coach the news Coach the news reporter on X is saying she knew way ahead. Look, I don't know if she did know, but alarm bells are starting to ring, guys. Absolutely, alarm bells are starting to ring wildly, Absolutely, Galloway. Sean has been telling us to prep. Have some have listened. People haven't. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I do get quite a lot of stuff thrown at me. When I start talking about the United States taking over the United Kingdom, when I talk about a mass exodus of Western culture to Antarctica. Do you know what? When it's 2030 and it's like people are begging for it, people will look back on these videos and they'll be like, yeah, he nailed that. Lindy Clark is saying, Sean, that's what I just wrote. Are the dinghy boys here to fight for us? That's why they get looked after so well and can do whatever they like without any comebacks. Linda Clark, first of all, I don't know. I'm not claiming to know, but I think there is a strong mounting wealth of evidence now that is pointing towards that. I do, guys. And when people say, so I've worked at the highest levels of government, like the highest levels. I've had secret meetings and you've got to sign little disclaimers and say you're not allowed to repeat anything you say. For entertainment purposes only, I may or may not, and that may just be speculation. What I am going to say is, I'm going to ask you guys a question, actually. The question is this. If I'm telling you guys what's coming and then it happens, do you think that I'm the only one who knows? I would say I actually have less information than the government. And I know there are good people in these advisory roles, guys. I do. I know there's some fantastic people behind the scenes who are advising. I do. And I don't want to say trust the plan. I absolutely don't want to say that. What I want to say is make sure that we have a legal framework to protect ourselves against a tyrannical government, because that is real. That is real. Can you imagine the difference in opinion if all these migrants got shipped out to fight? It's like a war in a war. And when people are saying, oh, but these people wouldn't fight, they'd turn on us. They wouldn't. That's not how war works, guys. That is genuinely not how war works. You would have a front line. So this is how it works. In fact, let me get the map up, actually, guys. Let me share with you guys. Right, let me share with you guys the war map. Sorry, guys, I'm jumping from place to place. Let me share with you guys the war map. So I wanted to do this quite at the beginning, actually. So this is the key town here, Pokroves. Once put that town there, Pokroves Falls, once that's gone, it's diddly on. So this was what the ground looked like in Ukraine. The red denotes Russian occupied territory. The grey is contested areas, and this updates every midnight in Ukraine. So like, I don't know what time it is here, like 2 hours in front there. So what I want to do real quick is I just want to share with you guys this, okay? So this is the situation on the 12th of, so literally a month ago, a month and a day ago, on the 12th of October, 2025. I'm just going to fast forward now, all right? I'm just going to click this, and what I want you guys to do is watch how methodically the Russians are taking ground. Now, they're doing this with conscripts. We've seen it. I've shared with you guys the videos, Mad Max style. So I'm just going to click forwards, and what I want you guys to do is look how much ground the Russians are taking, and look how much ground the Ukrainians are taking back. I'll give you a spoiler. It's none. Until we are today. Now, I know that's not big, drastic moves, but it's constant. And this is every day on the front line. That front line gets closer and closer and closer. Now, just for context, I can remember when I was doing live streams, and I was talking about this little place here, Vuhledar. I was saying, yeah, you know, the Russians have come in. They came in from the south. They came in from the north. They did the pincer movement. Then they took Vuhledar. I can then remember doing the same here when there was a Valyesa Novosilka. They came in from the south. They came in from the north. They did the pincer. They closed it up, which is exactly what they're doing right now in Pokrovs. And that is the last key fortress city. It's not a city, it's a town. I would, you know, I would even argue if it's a town. But anyway, that's what they're calling it. And like for context, I was looking at this map earlier, and when I was out in excuse me. When I was out here in what year was it? I can't like, I don't know, 16 or whatever. I'll show you where I was now. I was in a little place called Pisky. It's right near the airport. I was like there for like maybe 2 months, and we was doing observations with the OSC, their international observers. And we were based in Pisky, and we were observing the front line. You know, where's the in fact, it was quite near the airport. Where's the airport? Oh, I think the airport. Oh, there it is. Look, oh, that's the airport there. Look, so I don't know if you guys can make that out, but that's the runway there, from there to there. 4.2 kilometer runway, which is a big runway. Anyway, sorry guys, I'm going off on a side quest. Let me stop sharing this. What I just want to share with you guys there is, you know, the reality of this conflict, you know, the reality of this front line, the reality that all the weapons, all the munitions, all the expensive kit and equipment, ultimately, wars are won and lost by private soldiers on the front line with bayonets, 5.56 and hand grenades. Period. But we've got these drones. Remember when I did this last night, and then I realized I could share this with you guys. But we've got these drones, we've got that drone, we've got this drone. Doesn't matter, guys. Get ready for what's coming. Just realized I had a little Freddy on my hair. Right, let me jump down, guys, because I'm going to start closing this down. Deep state map, nothing to see here. I actually know the guy who who runs that map, and he's a good guy, and he really does keep that up to date. Linda Clark is saying, if that's the case, how do chat feel about that? Would people feel relieved it's not our boys and happy for them to be treated as they are? Look, I've said this a few times, you know, there's clearly something going on behind the scenes, isn't there? Like, look, I'll be quite honest. I don't know what it is. I know this is certainly one of the options. No government can be this incompetent to destroy themselves. No government can be this incompetent to destroy themselves. But in the Second World War, when Britain had cracked the Enigma code, I mean, what a fantastic! If you guys know the story of that, was it Edward Teller? Was it Teller? I can't remember. So Britain had stolen one of the Enigma machines, but they didn't know how to use it. So what they did is, in Bletchley Park, they said, right, okay, what we're going to do is, rather than, and this is where the first computer was built, they said, right, we're going to build a machine. I'm going to build a machine that's going to be able to crack any code. I mean, isn't that like a Christopher Nolan movie? And he's like, you know, and he's like, I don't know. If it was a Christopher Nolan movie, I love Christopher Nolan movies, guys. I do. You know, when there was rumors about Christopher Nolan being the director of the next Bond film, and I was like, damn. But like, if this was a Christopher Nolan movie, you know, the guy would get up there and he would say, no, I'm going to build a computer. I'm going to build a machine that can crack all codes. And somebody would say, it's not possible. And he'd say, no. It's necessary. And that's how it would go, because if it was a Christopher Nolan movie. You know, but sorry, going on a side quest. With that, what happened was, because Britain had cracked the Enigma code, the German encryption device, and Britain could listen into the could listen to the radio, what the Germans were talking about. They couldn't let the Germans know that they'd broken that. So a lot of people could have been saved, but it was more important that the Germans didn't know that they were listening in. So if they couldn't find an alternate method of how that information could get brought out, they would just let a ship be sank. They would let infantry, you know, go. But you've got to think about the greater good. You've got to think about the greater good. Unfortunately, guys, you know, that's the nature of the beast. Dean Region X is saying, do you think it's more likely that these dinghy boat boys could vote left? Well, they could vote left. But if they get given the vote, that means they're British citizens. So I think there's a long way for that to happen. And the backlog, you know, the absolute backlog of that, I think it'll just take too long. Look, I don't think we're going to get to another election. I think we'll be in World War III before the next election. James is saying, the Ukrainians are insanely brave and brilliant fighters, but they are outmanned, outgunned, and they have to pull back. It's like Rorke's Drift. Get out and fight another day. Look, guys, I've said this for, you know, I've said this for like probably over a year. The Ukrainians need to pull all the way back and get over the other side of the Dnipro, because, look, guys, I showed you on the map. Daily. And that's happening all over the front line. It's not these big moves. It's not these big 200 kilometer land grabs. No, it's 500 meters, a kilometer, 700 meters, 200 meters, you know, but it's constant over all the front line. This is how I knew, you know, that there was no such thing as a peace deal. There's no such thing as a peace negotiation, because if you're You know, if you're if you're young old good old Vladimir, Uncle Vladimir, and you're sat there, and Vladimir, yes, what, Yura? Donald Trump is on phone. What does he want? He wants some sort of ceasefire negotiation. Da ladna, chuvak. Tell him to. I am not coming to peace negotiation. I will take whole Ukraine in enough time. I'm not having ceasefire. Like, you gotta have a ceasefire. You gotta stop these people dying. I don't care about people dying. I'm Russian. I send conscripts. We have many conscripts. Willow Fairy saying drone wars. There are going to be a lot of drone wars, guys. But ultimately, the drones are only taking over the as they are now. Drones are only taking over the traditional artillery. If you've got good artillery, I would say that's better than drones. Galloway Raider is saying slower advancement means they can grind down the numbers faster. Yeah. So if you guys remember back in 2022, God, yeah, wow, almost 4, Jesus Christ. Jesus, it's almost 4 years ago. Wow. I remember Ukrainian men coming up to me. This is honest, guys, okay? I remember Ukrainian men coming up to me and just saying, crying and saying, thank you, Sean. I was saying, for doing what? I haven't done anything. He's saying, why are so many British people coming over to fight for Ukraine? And I was like, I don't know. It's just what we do. We love a good war. And he was saying, but if Britain got invaded, we wouldn't go and help Britain. And I just said to him, I said, that's how we roll. That is literally how we roll. That is how we roll as Brits. If there's a scrap, we'll take it. But yeah, sorry, Galloway Raider is saying slow advancement means they can grind the numbers down faster. Also, in 2022, the Russians massively overextended themselves. They were surging forwards. They were like platoons rushing forwards, and they were becoming isolated. And when you become isolated, you don't have mutual support. You don't have depth support. You don't have a logistics supply. And you're swizzled. You are, you're swizzled. You go into the candy shop and you're spending all you got. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. You guys have been fantastic. Very good looking. I'm not sure about Galloway Raider, though. His thumbnail looks a bit intimidating, but I'm down with that. The crux of this live stream has been NATO beginning conscription, and the date has been confirmed. The date has been confirmed as the 1st of January, when everyone, and look, guys, other countries will follow suit, but believe me, okay? The 1st of January, 2026, so like what, 2 months? Or it's not even 2 months, it's less than 2 months. It's like 6 weeks. 6 weeks! In 6 weeks! 6 weeks, whatever. About 6 weeks. 6 weeks' time, the Germans will require every man over 18 to register with the military, have a medical assessment, and fill out a questionnaire. The main question is, do you want to fight for Germany or not? People will tick it, people will not tick it. I can guarantee, well, do you know what? I don't even guarantee. And what they're saying is, if they don't get the numbers, and they're not saying what the numbers are, but what the Germans are saying, if they do not get the numbers, then mandatory military service will be implemented. Now, you guys call it mandatory military service. I call it conscription. It's scone. It's scone. Doesn't really matter. It's the same thing. What I've been saying, ladies and gentlemen, I've been saying this for a long time. You guys know I have. I've been saying that the NATO without the United States, it is not a win because the Russians are using conscripts. Turns out people are now catching on. People are starting to understand that they need conscripts to push them conscripts forwards. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. You guys really have been fantastic. I'm going to be back on tomorrow morning. Yes, I will, good sir. I will be back on tomorrow morning at 10. Let's see what's happened. Let's see what's been happening in the last 20, I don't know, 12 hours or what it is to close this live stream down. I'll be back on, ladies and gentlemen. Bear that in the back of your mind. NATO are beginning conscription and the date has been confirmed. And I will see, and I bid you, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'll see you in the morning.